was right, and they won. Thank you.
When we fight, we win. When we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win. Good morning. I'm Kate Lujan-Redling, board chair of the People's Lobby in Chicago, and a proud fighter with People's Action's Care Over Cost campaign. Thank you, Alyssa, for sharing your story. It's so important to put faces and names to the staggering number of people who will be hurt by the drastic cuts that Musk and Trump are planning. Today, I'm here from Illinois with folks from all over the country because we hear Trump say that he won't cut Social Security and Medicaid, but we see the writing on the wall. Republicans are poised to cut $880 billion from Medicaid.
That ain't right.
And that's not all. These cuts are designed to funnel our tax dollars out of programs that our communities need and are into private corporations run by millionaires and billionaires. They're doing this in the form of tax breaks. You just heard from Alyssa about the critical role that Medicaid has played in her life and in the lives of so many others. If Medicaid is cut, literally millions of Americans will lose their health care. That in and of itself is an act of violence. But if you think you won't be impacted, consider what the ER waiting rooms will look like when the people who were covered by Medicaid now no longer have access to routine care, when funding for public hospitals and clinics are cut. What do you do then when your kid has a life-threatening allergic reaction? I am a mom of 4 boys, and I've spent more than my fair share of time in emergency rooms, and they are already at capacity. We have a choice now. We can all get the care that we need, or none of us can. We built this country into the richest country in the world with blood and sweat and tears, built with grit, determination, diversity, and innovation. Look around. There is still enough money and resources here for all of us. Yes. And yet, while billionaires and their cronies line their pockets, our communities are left to pick up the pieces and fight for scraps. They're stealing our money and handing it over to the ultra-rich, all while everyday Americans are forced to choose between their insulin and a carton of eggs.
That ain't right.
Friday, the U.S. Department of Justice launched a civil fraud investigation into United Health Group over medical billing practices. This isn't just another corporate scandal. It's a stark reminder that these profit-driven giants are willing to gamble with human lives just so that their so-called Medicare Advantage plans, which affect 7.8 million seniors, they are built on schemes that inflate diagnoses for extra payments. Every fraudulent dollar that they pocket is another nail in the coffin of our health care. For-profit health care costs lives. Every time a policy decision prioritizes profit over patients, a family is left to battle skyrocketing medical bills, and someone's life is put at risk. I'm calling on each and every one of us, whether you're fighting for your own health or the health of your neighbor, to join us, stand up, speak out, and fight back against a system that values money over lives. Enough is enough. It is time to take our money back, take our lives back, and build a system that cares for us all. Tell your congressperson to vote no and block this potential budget. It is a vote on the budget. Thank you.
Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house. Whose house?
Our house. Thank you, Kate and Alyssa, for those moving stories and important stories and reminders of why we're here today. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my former congressional member, Representative Ilhan Omar from the 5th Congressional District of Minnesota.
We are here today because we are witnessing a crisis. a crisis in our democracy, a crisis in our budget, a crisis in our Constitution. And during a crisis, you have two options, whether to fight or flight. And we are in a fight for our families, a fight for our future. While working people are struggling to afford prescription drugs, while hospitals in rural communities are closing, while millions of Americans are choosing between rent and medical bills, billionaires are getting tax cuts.
That ain't right.
Corporations are raking in record profits while the most vulnerable among us are being left behind. Republicans want to hand out another $4.6 trillion in tax breaks to billionaires and foreign corporations, while at the same time stripping funding from life-saving research, gutting the Affordable Care Act, and slashing nearly $9 billion in federal funding for Medicaid.
That ain't right.
Republicans are literally going to gut the insurance program that covers millions of children and seniors. This will mean rural hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, addiction treatment centers will close their doors, and the most vulnerable will die because of the Republican budget. And let's not forget, under Elon Musk and his so-called Department of Government Efficiency, federal health agencies have suffered mass layoffs and vital research funding has been frozen. In my home state of Minnesota, $150 million meant for groundbreaking medical research on cancer and rare diseases is at risk. Universities that should be leading the charge in innovation are being forced to halt critical studies. And who suffers? The American people. They want you to believe that there is just not enough money to go around, that we can't afford to expand healthcare, that we can't afford to fund research, that we can't afford to make sure every American has the care they deserve. But let's tell the truth. We can afford it.
Yes.
We can afford universal health care.
Yes.
We can afford life-saving treatment.
Yes.
We can afford to fund the research that will cure diseases for generations to come.
Yes.
What we can't afford is more handouts to billionaires and foreign corporations.
Hell no.
So I say this, tax the greedy billionaires.
Yeah.
Tax them so that no parent has to choose between groceries and a doctor's visit.
Yeah.
Tax them so our hospitals can stay open, our research can continue, and our communities can thrive.
Yeah.
Here's our message to Speaker Johnson and President Musk. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
We demand an economy that works for all of us, not just the wealthy few.
Yeah.
We demand health care as a human right, not as a privilege.
Yeah.
The billionaire class might have their lobbies, but the American people have us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. More power to the people.
Thanks. So now I'll have Alfredo Reyes from Texas with Vocal Texas and People's Action.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I am going to make it real nice. This is my life story, and let me explain to you about me. I was unhoused, living in the street, dealing with cancer. I'm a U.S. veteran, and everybody has turned their back on me. The one thing that I got rehoused through the Rapid Rehousing Program in Austin, Texas, and not just that, but the ARPA money is no longer available. Now, one of the things that I keep on saying to myself is the communities out there are suffering and they're struggling, they're dying. In reality, is that's not right. We're human beings. We're not animals. And the one thing I can tell you is that we need to make sure we stop these billionaires from making and profiting off of us and making sure that they pay their taxes and pay their equal share. I mean, because reality is, their fair share, I'm sorry. Because reality is, we're dying out here. We need to make sure the money goes through housing, and making sure the service providers get money and funding, and making sure they get a good living wage. Because reality is, where's the money going? Reality is, we're not making it. We're paying them to be rich. And reality is we're tired of it, and enough is enough. We need to make sure the billionaires pay their fair share and making sure it goes to where it belongs, which is the community. Because we're out here, the community needs that fund more than anything. I am scared right now because we're out here, I'm in the rapid rehousing program. After the end of this year, I might end up back in the street. That ain't right. That's not right. And the one thing I can tell you is that the housing first does work. Yeah. And let me explain to you right. I'm living proof of it. Yeah. Since then, I was homeless for 7.5 years. Since then, I now have a place to stay. I have a job. I'm a Vocal Texas organizer. I'm proud of it. And not just that, but I'm also now go to therapy. I get the services that I need. I get all this. I'm bettering myself, and I'm becoming a good abiding citizen. And I think that we all deserve that, and we all should have that equally. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
We love you, Alfredo. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfredo. So now I will have Representative Becca Balance. Thank you, Balance. Thank you. I had it with parentheses and everything. Who represents Vermont at an at-large congressional district. Thank you.
All right, Vermont's in the house. All right, look, 71% of Americans think that the system is rigged. Are they wrong? No, they are not. They are not wrong. Wealth created by millions and millions of Americans are benefiting who? The rich. That's right. And working people, as you know, are suffering the consequences. The reality is, people can't afford insulin.
That ain't right.
People can't afford groceries.
That ain't right.
They can't find housing.
That ain't right.
And the strain on them we see every single day. Vermonters and Americans across this country are feeling the crushing weight of this. Now, so look, we need more housing. We need to lower rents. Yes. Is it right that corporations should get more money while people are literally sleeping in the streets or under a tree? Is that right?
No.
That's why we're here today. That is why we're here today. Let's draw a stark contrast. Let's talk about what really is happening in this building at the hands of Republicans who have the House, the Senate, and the White House. This budget is their budget. It is their budget, and they're going to own it. They're trying to cut Medicaid funding. They're trying to cut SNAP benefits. They're trying to take out all the programs that support working families across this country. That's the reality. Don't let them do a sleight of hand here. Do not let them get away with it. So look, we have to stand with working people across this country. And I am so excited to be out here with all of you today because I loved what you said earlier. You said, worthy of saving? What was that? Worth saving. Worth saving. Who are those people in your community? Worth saving. Who are those exactly, everybody. Who are those organizations in your community worth saving? All of them. All of them. So look, I know this is a hard moment. I know it is. A lot of people have said they feel scared. They feel overwhelmed. They don't know where to put their energy. You're doing exactly the right thing today. You're out here demanding justice, demanding answers from your government. That is absolutely what we all need to be doing. And those of us in Congress, we are using our voices at every possible opportunity. We are legislating, we are litigating, and we are agitating. That is what we are doing. Everyone in this country deserves a fair shot. And the Republicans are not thinking about regular people. Ever. It's about who's at the top, who can we give more money to, while the rest of us are scrapping around for every little bit that we can get.
That ain't right.
It's not right. It's not right. So look, they're trying to flood the zone every single day. Do not take your eye off the ball. And the ball is always the money. Who has the money? who's getting the money, who's getting more money, and how are the rest of us being screwed? Thanks for being out here today. Thanks for using your voices.
We got some real champions fighting right now. We got some real champions fighting right now, right? So we know we still got some work to do. So I'm going to call up here Dr. Majadi from Push Buffalo to share a little bit with us.
Thank you. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I am Dr. Majadi Baruti from Buffalo, New York. I am here because the climate crisis lives in my home. It is my fiancée. She is a victim, and that's what it is, a victim of 3 different climate crises. Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita, and then a couple of years later, floods in Tennessee. These could have been prevented if these fossil fuel companies had been reined in years ago. We have lost homes, our family structures, community structures, community wealth. All the while, oil, gas, and coal billionaires are stealing from us. It is utter and absolute theft. If I were to steal something with this black body, they would put me under the jail. If I made it to the damn jail. In Buffalo, New York, we have some of the oldest housing in this country. My home was built in 1920. Because of our weak home structure, our energy burden is absurdly high. National Fuel Gas, I'm going to call their name out. I call them the behemoth. National Fuel Gas, a fossil fuel company, just raised our rates again. So now I am considering cutting back on things that are called the good things in life, things I deserve. In fact, I was going to take my son to see this Captain America movie, but I'm going to have to rearrange that a little bit here. My woman, she's a Creole woman, Southwest Louisiana, so she kind of fancy. She likes flowery dresses, good food. I'm talking about flowery dresses, baby. And it looks funny in Buffalo, New York. But we had to celebrate, y'all call it Valentine's Day, we've switched the days and we call it Love Day. We had to celebrate it at the house because I had to pay this damn gas bill. Otherwise, we'd be cold. My community organization, Push Buffalo, won an EPA grant that would help create good jobs and weatherized homes in upstate New York. And now that it's being held up by these monsters, these demons, these devils, these wicked and diabolical people who are harming humankind and harming this planet. This is the only one we got. Mama didn't give us no other one. There are millions of us who need these programs that you've heard spoken to thrive. And at the same time, the richest 3 men in this country have more money than the bottom half of us. And they're trying to take even more. They're trying to squeeze the proverbial blood from a turnip. Congress is voting. They'll be moving today to discuss this. This is the first step of a plan to take form and to take from everyday people and to give it to billionaires like Elon Musk. So we're going to have to do something that we have not done before. We're going to have to be together. I mean, really together. This has to be a full-on rainbow coalition for real. For real, not for play. We have to act as working people and remember that it was working people and the enslaved who built this country. So for me, personally, as a priest, I look at this as a sacred work. My specific focus is on BIPOC women and children, those who are marginalized the most in this climate crisis. It's a crisis. It's not climate change. Y'all got to stop saying climate change. We are in a crisis. We got hurricanes going up mountains. So To close out, we need you to contact Congress right now. When? Now. Right now. And tell them to stop these fools.
Thank you so much, Dr. Majadi. So now I'm going to turn it over because we still got some more fighting to do. What did you say? They were diabolical, wicked demons. We got some folks that got to fight those demons. And one of those people is Representative Chuy Garcia, representing the Illinois 4th Congressional District.
Thank you, and I'm very proud to stand with each and every one of you, pushing back and unveiling the great tax scam that they are preparing to give to the richest people in our country.
That ain't right.
This has been done before. That will be even worse if we let it happen. Let's recall what they did in 2017, the first Trump MAGA tax scam. They gave massive tax breaks to the 1%, added $2 trillion to the deficit, and they stole from Social Security, Medicare, which is what they want to do once again, and it never trickled down because it never trickles down when they do that type of stuff. And since then, the wealth gap has only gotten bigger. Today, the richest Americans, not the 1%, the 0.1%, even fewer of them own 13% of all the wealth in our country. Meanwhile, the entire bottom half, over 170 million people in our country, only own 2.5% of all the wealth.
That ain't right.
That ain't right, exactly. Big name corporations like Ford, Netflix, T-Mobile, many more pay their top executives more than they pay in taxes. This is the concentration of wealth. This is oligarchy. Take Maria, for example, who lives in my district. She cleans an office in residential buildings in places where she'll never be able to get an apartment. Or Mr. Johnson, who is now having to figure out whether he gets his medicine or pays his heating bill so that he doesn't freeze. That's what's on the line. Republicans want to permanently lower the amount of taxes that corporate giants and the wealthy pay. And they want to enact another round of tax breaks and freebies and giveaways. How will they do it? By forcing American people to slash Medicaid, ending food assistance and food stamps, taking away school lunches from our kids, and gutting retirement benefits.
That ain't right.
That ain't right. But what we've got to do is, oh, and let me add one more thing. Even undocumented immigrants pay in federal taxes only in 2022 $380 billion. Doesn't include state and local taxes as well. So we got to make sure that billionaires and corporations pay their fair share. We're not going to let them take it away from working people. We're not cutting lunches to kids, and we're not cutting lunches so that Jeff Bezos can buy another yacht. And we're not slashing Medicaid or Medicare so that Elon Musk can keep freeloading and trying to cut our federal workforce. Sisters and brothers, it's time to fight back. Let's expose them for what they're trying to do, and let's take back our country. Thank you.
We win. We win. Ooh, all right. We're gonna keep it rolling. So now I'd like to introduce Representative Rashida Tlaib, representing Michigan's 12th Congressional District.
Y'all, we're here to talk about corporate greed, which is a disease that is extracting and killing so many of our families. You know, I'm here with, I brought with me my friend Tamika Ramsey, who is coming here, and she comes in my office, she didn't even say hello. She says, Rashida, I'm a small business owner, and I'm paying more taxes than Amazon. And I said, I got an event for you. It looks like she's feeling a lot better, that she knows there's a lot of other people that agree with her that there needs to be a lot of justice and fairness. I'm also here with the Oil and Water Don't Mix Coalition in Michigan that has been fighting incredibly hard through the region to make sure that oil stays out of the Great Lakes. And when we say shut down Line 5, we are talking about saving lives. This is where over 20% of our water comes from, the Great Lakes, and they're sitting there allowing corporate greed to drive policies that put us in danger. We know as we speak, it's not millions, it's not billions, it's trillions of dollars in tax cuts, for the rich. These tax cuts would only empower and enable the billionaires and powerful corporations and corporate greed in our country. That's what it's going to do. It's going to enable them even more. They're never going to be checked on worker exploitation. They're never going to be checked on the fact that the children in my district still don't have clean drinking water. They're never going to be checked on the fact that they're polluting our communities in a way where I have a father with 6-year-old twins that has to put them in a breathing machine because literally they live in the shadows as one of the most awful corporate polluters in the state of Michigan. That ain't right. The climate crisis, Doc, is a direct result of unchecked corporate greed. For decades, we know this, corporate polluters have poisoned our neighborhoods, putting profits over people's lives. We've seen it, and it's just the latest in the long line of loopholes and handouts for big oil executives to get richer while the rest of us get sicker. A lot of our folks on the state level say, well, we have a public hearing about an air permit. But do you know what my residents call that state environmental agency? Permission to pollute agency. They're tired of it. And I know I'm tired, and so many of the corporate polluters raking in the record profits, while frontline communities like mine, in Detroit, and Dearborn, and Wayne County communities struggle to breathe clean air. And in order to pay for these tax cuts for the billionaires and CEOs, they want to rip health care away from millions of our families. Shame on them. Shame. I just want you to think about this. They're paying, the residents, the community is paying the toll, getting sicker, while we subsidize the fact that we have sick care in our country, the fact that many of our folks can't even afford to take care of themselves. So I want you all to know they're moving, of course, with these massive cuts to programs. And I talk about the $880 billion in cuts in Medicaid, but behind all those cuts is a person. It's not even saving organizations, it's saving lives. We're not powerless. I remind people I come from the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, city of Detroit. And I'll tell you, I was taught by the community mothers. It wasn't Congress who got us the Civil Rights Act. They didn't wake up one day and say, I think equality and fighting against housing is a good idea. It's we made them. Yes. We marched. Yes. We boycotted. Yes. We created resistance in the streets that made this institution behind me that isn't ready for people like us, right? We make them ready, and we make them move. It's the same thing with organizing unions. You think somebody in the White House woke up and said, wow, we need to make sure people have human dignity in the workplace? It's when people withheld their labor. So understand the power that you all have, and I'm so incredibly proud of you for being here. Know that I'll always have your back. I won't sell out. I'm standing with some of my colleagues, even in the Democratic caucus, as we try to move with urgency, even before this man became our president. I remember in those days of trying to understand why we always seem to have money for wars and bombs, but we don't seem to have money for clean air and clean water. And it has been courageous for many of the folks in the Oil and Water Don't Mix Coalition. They're up here every single year fighting to say, protect the Great Lakes. Think about that. They're begging the institution that's supposed to be about people, not those that, again, extract and about corporate greed. So I want you to know I'm going to always have your back, and this is how we do it, through movements like this. And again, I love it when you're all out in front of some of my colleagues' places now in their district, because sometimes coming to D.C. is fine, but go to their backyard. They don't like that. Let's go to their backyard. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Representative Tlaib. So now I will turn it over to Gisero Zurita, that's representing One America and People's Institute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Glicerio Zurita, and I am a community organizer with One America in Washington State. Let me be clear. Immigrant, refugee, and asylee are not the enemy. We are workers, parents, students, and neighbors. We contribute every day to the country, but instead of recognizing that, billionaires and corporations are trying to turn us against each other. They use hateful rhetoric to divide our communities, while they steal the wealth created by our hard work. We see through their lies, and we refuse to be divided. The enemy isn't our immigrant neighbors or new arrivals. It's the billionaires and corporations who manipulate the system for their own benefit, getting tax breaks while cutting health care, education, and the programs our community rely on.
That ain't right.
They create these problems, and now they want to blame us. We demand they pay their fair share. This discrimination rhetoric isn't just hateful, it's racist. It targets our children, our elders, and our entire community. This kind of fear-based propaganda puts us in danger of violence. This kind of fear-based propaganda, we have seen it before. Immigrant raids, family separations, attacks on our people. Just last month, we have seen families torn apart and fear spreading where parents are afraid to send two children to school or leave their homes. I know this pain personally. My own family was detained. My wife was sent to Tacoma Detention Center because the 280G program, a program sold as security, but instead it causes devastation. I know the fear, the uncertainty, and the trauma that so many in our community are living. I refuse to let that continue. We will not be silent. Billionaires are funding politicians who spread lies, using fear to justify policies that hurt all working families. Yeah. They don't care about the rising cost of living, about the wages that aren't enough to survive. They want us to fight each other and distract it, so we don't fight back. Immigrant, refugees, and asylees are the backbone of this country.
That's right.
We work in industries that keep the nation running: healthcare, agriculture, construction, education, and yet they try to strip away our rights and dignity. We won't stand on it. At One America, we are fighting back. Yeah. We are organizing and empowering our community to take action, ensuring dignity and respect for all. We are pushing the policies that protect and uplift our immigrant and refugee families and excluded workers so they can thrive and not just survive. Thank you, Representative from Villa Park, for founding our organization and to create all these spaces so all immigrants can be empowered and speak out the truth. We will resist hate, fight back against efforts to criminalize our communities, and hold those in power accountable. We will continue to build power because our communities deserve dignity, justice, and future free from fear. We will rise, we will fight, and we will win. Thank you.
All right.
When we fight,
We win. We win. Whew. So now I'm going to turn it over to our final speaker, Representative Pramila Jayapal, representing Washington 7th Congressional District.
Hey, everybody. It is so good to be with you. Glicerio, I am so proud to see you leading us as you always have with your story as an organizer. I founded that organization, and I ran it for 10 years, and guess what? 15 years later, it is still going strong, organizing immigrants. And every one of you that is an organizer back home, I want to say thank you. Thank you for doing this work. I am an immigrant myself. I'm somebody who worked on this as an organizer on the outside, and now for the last 8 years on the inside. I'm still an organizer. And I am here to say that we refuse to let Donald Trump and his unelected billionaire buddy Elon Musk, who conveniently seems to have forgotten that he was an undocumented immigrant as well. I refuse to let them scapegoat and target immigrants. I want to be very clear about something. The only reason they keep doing this is because they want to distract you from the fact that they are stealing your taxpayer dollars, your benefits, your programs, so they can give a $4.5 trillion tax cut to the billionaires. They want you to blame immigrants. They want you to criminalize immigrants. We need to focus on the greedy billionaires and make them pay their fair share. We can't let them continue their lies and their distractions. We can't let them deport the millions of families across this country who have been doing the work that keeps our economy going every day. We can't let them scapegoat and criminalize immigrants who contribute, who are our neighbors, our friends, our churchgoers, our community around us that we deeply love. Immigrants are us. Immigrants are us, and we all deserve respect and dignity. If you look at the food that's on your table, think about who picked it. If you look at your homes, think about who built them. If you look at your vulnerable elders and your kids, think about who's taking care of them. Immigrants work in every single sector of the economy. And in 2022, immigrant households paid $579 billion in taxes. Billion with a B. And let me ask you something. Do you know how much Elon Musk's company paid in federal taxes? Zero! A big zero! That is unfair. And he personally, that's just for his company, he personally paid a tax rate of about 3.5%. 3.5% on his billions. That's less than the average American pays in taxes. So just make those greedy billionaires pay their fair share. That's all we're asking. Trump's mass deportation plans are not only going to devastate and separate families like Glicerios and so many others all over again, they're going to hurt our economy. They're going to drive up the prices of food for average Americans. They're going to drive up the cost of construction. It's going to cost more than $1.5 trillion to actually deport everybody in this country. And on top of that, it's going to cost our economies over $5 trillion over a decade in higher prices, in all the things that immigrants provide to our country. Now, Republicans have spent decades fighting the real reforms that we need to make our immigration system humane and fair. They've tried to make it seem like it's a choice between your safety and modernizing an immigration system that hasn't been modernized in 30 years. It is not a choice. We can invest in keeping everyone safe and secure by reforming and modernizing our immigration system so that it works for families across this country. So listen, don't get distracted. Anybody going to be distracted here? Don't get distracted. Let's make these greedy billionaires pay just a little bit more of their fair share. Let's push for humane immigration reform that protects immigrants, that protects Americans from Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and stop them from ripping away your benefits, your nursing homes, your health care, your nutrition benefits. Stop them from doing that because they're just going to take the money and give it to the wealthiest billionaires. No more breadcrumbs for working people. No more yachts for the richest in our country. Let's stop this disastrous betrayal Republican budget that rips us all off. Thank you all so much. We win. We win. We win. Questions? Okay, I think we're going to open it up for any questions that press has right now, if anybody has any. And if not, we are going to close it out so we can go and debate on the floor about this terrible Republican budget. Okay, thanks, everybody.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy